Hello, my name is Gus, but you can call me BATGUS, and we are back with our Batman the Animated Series commentary. Today's episode is a very special one called Two-Face. Yes, and by the way, it's a two-parter, so we're gonna have this first part of the episode and a second part of the episode. Nothing more appropriate for this character, right? So let's go. I'm gonna do our famous countdown. So if you are watching in your DVD box set or in your streaming service, you can watch this episode with me, all right? So let's go. In 3, 2, 1, let's give it a play. The Warner Bros. Logo is on the screen. And so yes, like I said, this episode, Two-Face is gonna feature the origins of the famous villain from the Rogues Gallery of Batman, Two-Face, right? So Harvey Dent transformation is the main focus on this episode, especially in the end of this one and the beginning of the second one, the second part. And what we have here is what I think, at least in my opinion, is the Batman the Animated Series kind of finding its footing. I think this episode sets a new tone to the series that we haven't seen before. That is this very serious tone. We did have some episodes that had some kind of social discussion, like the Underdwellers and the Forgotten, but nothing as serious as this one, or at least taken very seriously as this episode. And we start with a very interesting scene featuring Harvey Dent back in the show. We haven't seen him since the episode Pretty Poison, and he's having a nightmare where his other personality is talking to him, and it's a very dark dream where he sees this silhouette throwing a coin, flipping a coin, and this silhouette is his other half, his other personality, because he has two personalities already, which is an interesting take on this version of the character. I'm not so sure I like the idea of Harvey Dent having two personalities before he becomes Two-Face. I like the versions that the character, after his transformation, there is the separation of personalities. But here, in this animation, they decided to have this interesting take. It's not bad, but I'm not sure I'm that fond of, where he's already a guy with multiple personalities, or at least double personality issues, right? Then we cut to a scene where the cops are busting a gang of criminals inside a building, a gang that works for one of the most prominent gangsters of this TV show, which is Rupert Thorne. And he's the main gang leader, or the main gangster leader, like a godfather kind of guy in this show. And the criminals are inside a building. The cops surrounded the whole building. These guys, they are dangerous because they have rocket launchers, which is very dangerous equipment. So the cops are busting the gang. They are surrounding the building, but Batman infiltrates the building first and gets the criminals. He he throws some guys away of the building. One of the rocket launchers basically erupts from the top of the building and explodes in the sky. So basically the cops don't have to do anything else, because Batman just solved the whole problem for them as usual. So we see these criminals being taken into the police car. They are all cuffed. Harvey Dent, as the district attorney of Gotham, he's giving some interviews, being the pretty guy, the good guy that he poses to be. And basically, we see that his character in this show is not of a bad guy yet. Is more like a good guy that has some anger management issues, right? Because right now, one of the criminals in the gang, while being taken to the police van to be taken to jail, he kicks some mud off the ground in Harvey's suit, and Harvey has a meltdown of anger and catches the guy, throws him on the puddle of mud. And he does that in front of the cameras of the TV reporters, and this is a very bad press for Harvey. Only when Commissioner Gordon approaches Harvey and tells him to stop, that he regains his consciousness and returns to calm. But the damage is done, right? He already showed his true face for the cameras. And yes, this is a guy with many psychological problems. I think, according to reviews from critics, this two-parter episode is one of the best in the show. I'm not that fond of this episode, to be honest. It's a good episode, of course. I mean, two-parter episode, but it's not my favorite one. And I think that has to do with the fact that I'm not a huge fan of the Two-Face character. And I know that sounds strange, because Two-Face is one of the greatest villains of Batman, or at least one of the most interesting ones in terms of his origins, his the dynamic of the character. But I don't know, there's just something that I think is missing in all interpretations of Two-Face in any media, both movies or cartoons or anyway. And what I think is missing, I'm going to take a little time to explain this, because right now we are in the scene where we have a party for Harvey Dent in Bruce Wayne's mansion, and we have, I think it's Bruce Wayne's mansion. It looks like his mansion, but anyway, a lot of people are in this party to celebrate the probable election of Harvey Dent, because there's going to be a voting in some days. In this night, I think, and if he wins the votes, he gets to be district attorney of Gotham. District attorney is a hard word to say, but anyway, let me explain a little why I think the character Two-Face has always have been lacking in some ideas for me. I think a character like Two-Face that has two personalities and basically two sides of the same, two sides of the same person, one bad side and one good side, in one man, in one mind. Wouldn't it be more interesting if he was a villain that, when he flips his coin, if it falls on if it falls on the good side of the coin, he does something good and not something villainous. And when it falls on the negative side, he does something villainous. So, because what we have is Harvey Dent or Two-Face, if he flips the coin and falls on the good side, he just doesn't do something bad instead of doing something good as a hero. And if it falls on the bad side, he does something bad, something negative. So there's never a good side to the guy. There's never a conflict within the guy. His conflict for me is a little weak, that if he falls on the good side, he doesn't do anything. If he falls on the bad side, he does something bad. So, I mean, I just diverged. But I think that it would be interesting to have a villain that is not just bad all the time. He can be good sometimes, but it only depends on the flip of a coin. That's a fascinating concept for me. And I think there should be an interpretation of Two-Face where Batman has to count on the flip of a coin to see if he has to stop the villain or not. Anyway. Now we have a scene where Harvey is on his psychiatrist or psychologist, I'm not sure. He's being hypnotized by this doctor, and her intention is to talk to the other personality of Two-Face, the bad side. And by the way, I think this is just a little stupid. His bad side is called Two-Face already, which is just not. I mean, come on. Why? Why is he called Two-Face? He's just the evil side. Two-Face should be only when he gets to, when he suffers the accident and becomes Two-Face. A guy with two faces, right? But anyway, she gets to talk to the bad side, and he's a very, how do you say, very cartoon villain-like, because he has these eyebrows going down, and he talks with this rough voice, and he flips a coin. I don't know. I don't really like this interpretation, to be honest. I really loved if we can have a comparison, I really loved the Dark Knight version of Two-Face with the Aaron Eckhart playing the character. I like that the duality that Harvey Dent is just a normal guy who has this coin, and you can see that he hides a dark side, but it's not so, not so much in your face like here. It's more like, okay, the guy has something inside him that he has to hide because he's a political figure, and he has to have a good presence, a good image all the time for the people. But I don't like the fact that it's so in your face like here. So in that movie, I thought it was very interesting that he has these very subtle anger issues, anger management issues. And when he suffers the accident, that's when, also adding up to the death of Rachel in that movie, his girlfriend, that creates the whole villainous figure, because he just loses his mind. It's much more interesting for me. Not if the guy is just crazy before, all his life. I don't really. So to be honest, in the animated series, the Two-Face episodes are not episodes that really interest me very much. Especially because he becomes this kind of side villain later. I think there are more 2 episodes focused on him, but nothing too. I mean, no episodes that is as interesting as this one, I think. And I don't even think this one is that interesting, to be honest. Anyway, let me stop ranting about it and tell what's going on. We have Harvey Face receiving a call. He was doing a huge press junket, maybe. I don't know. He was talking to the people in a party again. Then he receives a call from Rupert Thorne, the gangster, the mob gangster, that tells him that he has some files on the Two-Face personality of Harvey, and if he doesn't visit him, if he doesn't come to talk to Thorne in this moment, he's going to release this information to the press and cause damages to Harvey's reputation. Then Harvey leaves the party very in a hurry, right? He leaves his bride behind, and he doesn't want to talk to Bruce, who tries to talk to him. Again, these guys are good friends for some reason, because it was never explained where this friendship came from, but Bruce gets suspicious about he leaving the party so soon. So we have this great scene where he's gonna turn into Batman and follow the car of Harvey and down the streets. And it's a great scene because Batman basically is leaping from building to building, and with the whole animated series soundtrack behind, he then leaps from a car to another car in the streets until he's able to put a tracking device onto Harvey's car to follow where is he going, where we're gonna have the great climax of this episode. By the way, one of the best episodes in terms of animation. This scene that I'm talking about of Batman leaping from car to car, then he jumps on a flagpole and all this. So well animated. One of the best episodes in terms of animation. Really, really beautiful. So yeah. So Batman follows the tracking device. The signal of the tracking device, and he ends up in the hideout of Rupert Thorne. And what Rupert Thorne is doing is basically blackmailing Harvey with the information. They are in this office, and Thorne and his gang, which includes a woman, a femme fatale kind of girl, and some of his goons, they are all provoking Harvey, talking about his childhood story and all his diagnosis of the double personality, telling some stories about the childhood where he fought a bully on school, and kind of revealing the whole origin of Harvey Two-Face. And his idea is that Thorne wants some favors of the internal affairs to be able to do his bad deeds without the cops after him. And he needs the district attorney's help to be able to do it. If not, he's going to release all this information to the press, like I said. And Harvey starts to get really angry. He starts to sweat, and you can see that he's about to go nuts and become the other personality. And he actually does. He attacks Rupert Thorne, throws him over the goons, and this big fight starts, which will eventually be joined by the Batman. Batman tries to stop Harvey, but then for some reason the evil side of Harvey Dent is much stronger. All these guys start to fight. Batman also fights some of the goons, and the femme fatale, the girl, she just gets she gets excited about that whole fight between all these guys, which is a funny scene in the midst of all this mayhem. She just exclaims, "So wild!" She gets excited about the whole thing. Anyway, then Harvey chases Rupert Thorne, that takes the files out of the room, and they go into this area of the place because they are in a factory. With the hideout is in a factory, this place where there are some chemical products, and in big I don't know, cylinders or something like that. Harvey is chasing the Thorn. One of the goons gets a machine gun, tries to shoot Harvey, but Batman knocks the guy out of the way. He shoots a electric box machine, which causes the wires of this machine to fly over the chemical products that explode with the reaction of the shock. And this explosion gets Harvey, and the whole fire hits him, which causes the whole accident that will turn him into the villain that we know. He's taken to the hospital. His bride is there. Rupert Thorne is talking to his femme fatale. She says that he got rid of Harvey finally, and he says he doesn't know because Harvey's not dead yet. Then we go back to the final scene of the hospital, which is probably the most iconic scene of this episode, where the doctor takes the bandages out of Harvey's face. Harvey asks for the mirror, and he leaves the room. And this is it's an interesting scene because it's done in a tone of a horror movie, right? His bride is arriving in the hospital. She's in the hallway. He leaves the doctor's room, and with the window behind him and the rain outside and the lightnings, he turns to her and shows his deformed face, which causes her to faint. That's kind of funny. Then he leaves the hospital. He jumps out of the window like, I don't know, the Frankenstein monster or some kind of a monster running into the night. It kind of reminds me of the Darkman movie, Sam Raimi's Darkman, which is a great movie. Anyway, this is the end of part 1, and soon enough we're going to talk about part 2. Thank you so much if you watched so far. I hope you are enjoying this contents of Batman the Animated Series commentary. If you are liking, please subscribe to the channel and leave your like in this video. See you in the next Bat video, and bye bye.